say that bass have a better sense of smell than a dog. I'm not sure about that because I if they had a better sense of smell than a dog, I don't know if they'd ever make a mistake as far as biting a lure, especially a slow lure that did not smell, real. So from that standpoint, there may be, different elements to that. I don't understand the metric that they measure that by. I'm not saying it's true. I'm not saying it's false. This is just the studies I've heard. But I do know that bass can smell very well. Now, here's an example of what I'm talking about. I don't know how many times where I've been fishing, with a very realistic looking lure, like an earthworm type looking lure or a crawdad imitator that looks exactly like a crawdad. Some of these crawdad imitation baits, guys, you can't tell the difference. They look like a real crawdad. Yet if you put one in the water and then you put a live crawdad next to it, I've seen them do this in fish tanks before. The bass 100% of the time will go for the live crawdad, even if neither one of them are even moving out there, because they can smell it. They can smell the difference. And this is another reason, like here in my part of the country, like on Table Rock Lake and these lakes in the Ozarks, they have a lot of guide business down there because Bass Pro Shop has that big Cedar Lodge down there. So they have, thousands of trips a year. And most of those guys down there, they're guides, they use live bait for their clients simply because they catch so many more fish than artificial baits do. So bass do have a sense of smell. It does have an impact on it, but let's talk about a real world application in terms of, what you need to do as far as to up your odds against that. Okay. Now, one of the things that I have seen about that is it's obvious that if you have a slow bait, like a jig or something like this, it's working along the bottom, a lot of times the bass will swim down to a slow bait and they look at it. They're not just going to swim down there and eat the thing. They swim down there cautiously. They swim around it and they'll actually get their nose, sometimes right on it. They'll touch their nose right against the bait and they may or may not bite it. So when you're fishing a slow bait like a worm or a jig or a shaky head or something like that, if you have fish scent on your bait, it's got to help. There's no doubt in my mind it has to help, because if they swim down there and they've got something like the bait pop that's got real fish in it or whatever, or something that masks human odor or something that masks the smell of plastic, your odds, just the logical, reasonable thinking, your odds are going to go up that thing smells a little bit. It just didn't smell like a chunk of plastic out there. So from that standpoint, anytime that you're using a slow bait, I think for sure that you're going to increase your odds of catching bass by using scent on there. Now, other